Good afternoon. It's Saturday, the 16th of November, and welcome to Saba's Way of Life. So let me share what I'm doing with you today, first of all, and then I'll give you a few little pointers of where I'm going over the winter with my shares, because there's a lot less time in the garden and a lot more time doing other things in research in the house and around. So let me get straight to this. Well, today I actually am in the garden, and if you remember, those of you that have been watching the videos, you'll remember that I was preparing to plant garlic in the garden, and ordinarily these should already have been planted, but I'm a biodynamic gardener, not completely dogmatic about it, but more or less follow it because I know the results are, well, they're phenomenal. There's absolutely no question that growing food in alignment to the rhythms of the moon and the sun and the cosmological, astrological cycles, the constellations, basically makes a massive difference, because I have been growing food like this now for 3-4 years, and when you talk about green fingers, it's on a completely different thought wavelength. So these are a lot of things that were forgotten, but I would urge you to have a go. If you're a gardener and you're just starting out, actually understanding the concept of biodynamic gardening, which was a word coined by Rudolf Steiner, but actually for centuries and thousands of years, those people of the land have been growing in alignment. They understood the moon, they understood the sun and its rhythms. So what I'm going to do is now I have shared it before. This is the Maria Thun Biodynamic Calendar. I've had it now for 3-4 years even, I think. 3-4 years. And without going into too much detail, because you can research it yourself and I don't have to give you all the ins and outs, but it gives you an idea here that each day there are constellations, and they, depending on where the constellation is, which planet it's in, where the moon is and the sun is, so certain days are more favourable for planting certain crops. And the crops, let me just put my glasses on, are divided into 4 sections. You've got root, which are all your root vegetables like this, garlic, like onions, carrots and so on. And then you've got your flower vegetables. Well, that speaks for itself. You know, anything that flowers is flower. Then you've got your leaf, again, all your greens and other things that you harvest for leaves, and even grass is a leaf, because this is all not just vegetables and fruit, but it's gardening in general. And then you've got fruits. Anything that bears a seed is fruit. And these make up all fruit and vegetables. Now, depending on where the constellation of the moon is and whether it's a waning moon, whether it's a waxing moon, would then determine when the best time is to either sow a seed or transplant a young plant, or harvest, for example, or work on the soil. The other thing to take into consideration is whether the moon is ascending, going up, which is pulling out the nourishment from the ground, from the soil, or whether it's a descending moon, where when the moon is coming down in its 28-day cycle, many of you won't even know it does this. The moon does this, yes? When it's descending, normally it's in 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, then the nourishment is going into the soil. Likewise, you've got the ascending, as I just said, you've got the ascending, ascending and descending moon. You've also got the waxing and waning moon, where the moon is waxing, so it's going from a new moon to a full moon. And that's also having an effect on bringing nourishment into the body, into the soil. It affects us. We know that. It's all the connection with water, and we are 70% water in our bodies. Well, we should be 80% in our brain. So to even think that the moon has no effect on us when we know the effect of the moon on tides, and to think that it has no effect on us and on the plants, it's very backward thinking, and it's how we have been educated to, or ill educated, because we're not taught this. It's also common sense. So a waning moon, when the moon is going from full to low, like it's waning away, it's pulling energy out of the soil. It's not the best time to sow seeds where you want the roots to take hold. So the best time to sow seeds, actually, that is not true, because you have to, everything has to be taken individually. You have to study it in more detail. It's the descending moon that you really want to sow your seeds, because that's where the soil is being nourished. I write a lot of notes when I research that I remember. Descending moon is a good time to work with the soil. It's a good time to transplant. It's a good time to lift and divide, because when you're lifting and dividing, you're ensuring then that when you transplant, you want the roots to take hold. So you want nourishment going into the soil, aided by a descending moon. Sowing seeds is always best about a week. It's the week before the full moon. I don't know the full reasons for that, but this has been tried and tested, and I'm sure if I research I'll find it, that is when the roots of the seeds germinate much more strongly when planted and sown the week before the full moon. Now, I'm not dogmatic about it, so let's take today as an example. You go to the book. What we've got here is, today is Saturday the 16th of November. Now, we're still in an ascending moon. If I take the week before that, this links to the fact that the moon is actually ascending. They call it the Southern Hemisphere. Don't worry about that at this stage. If you get the book, it'll explain it. This blue section is where the moon starts to descend. And this is where I'm always interested in working with the land around that time, because there's so much you can do which would lend itself as an advantage to the plants. But we've just had the full moon. Believe me, do I know it was a full moon? It was a full moon yesterday, which is kind of symbolised by this. And normally the best time to sow seeds, or even this kind of thing, would have been the week before that here. But I didn't get a chance to do it then. And I wanted to wait for the weather to get a bit cooler. So the full moon has just gone yesterday, and it's still an ascending moon, but we're arriving at a descending moon soon. So I've decided I'm going to actually sow the garlic here. It's a root day today. So I've got the root day in my favour. I've got the fact that it's just after a full moon, so it's not the end of the world. And also the fact that the moon is soon reaching the point where it's going to descend. So I've got 2 packets of Rhapsody White soft neck garlic. Soft neck and hard neck. Hard neck is a lot more robust and hardy than soft neck. I think also the hard neck develops this kind of flower, which a soft neck doesn't. I could only find soft neck, and I think the hard neck has a lot stronger flavour, which I would love. But I've got these now, and I'm going to plant them. They're ready to plant in autumn. Rhapsody White reminds me of the Solent White that I planted last year that didn't work, but they were developed or bred or whatever in the Isle of Wight, hence the white. So I have a feeling that this also is linked to a particular breed of garlic that worked particularly well in the Isle of Wight, and therefore that weather would lend itself well to where I am in the UK now. Okay, so It's a root day. I'm kind of guided by this. I'm going to plant one packet here, and then I'm actually going to sow the second packet probably on Monday. Why? Because this week is set to get very cold. You've got to know what the weather's doing, so it's set to be quite icy, and I don't want the ground to be hard. You really want to get your garlic in. I'm saying this because I've read about it so much. While the ground is still soft, but cold, because garlic needs the cold to do well. Again, do your own research on why. There's loads of things on YouTube. Right, so you can see how I've planned. I'm very, very organised when I do this to plan. But here I've split these up. I've got a couple of videos which I'm looking at on YouTube on how to plant them, to space them. There's one which is I like simplicity. So there's one that says, well, a finger length deep, like a thumb length deep, and a hand width apart. So I'm going to use that. I've got my labels ready, garlic, and I'm going to put it into my biodynamic book, the date I'm planting them. I'll probably add garlic one, so I know it's the one that I planted this week. And then I will put the rest in on Monday, and I'll see if it's made any difference. And I'll call the next round garlic 2. I always do this because recording what you do, measuring the results is very important, because it will save you time later and you educate yourself. You're not just blindly doing things. You're researching, you're immersing yourself in the job to understand how things work. You get a very, very good idea and good knowledge, which is why I'm able to talk to you about all of this, because I've spent the time consciously planting, recording, measuring the results, and it doesn't take much time. It's a habit. I spend less time doing foolish nonsense and more time actually involved in things that matter in life. I'm going to talk to you more about how to think in that way when I start talking about the effects of social media. There's a lot I want to talk to you about on that, especially after recent events. It's confirmed so much, and I've been working out an analogy to give you all, because so that you understand the drug effect that it has on the minds of people. But for now, let me get back to this. So, oh, by the way, this is something that my mother knitted for me. She knitted these little headbands, and they're really great in the autumn. They really keep the ears and the head warm and keep the hair away when you're cooking or you're gardening. The other thing I want to share, I get a lot of things from my parents, is I am wearing, look, you see if you look at this, these are overalls here. I don't know if you can see them, but for you who are, the reason I'm mentioning this is that when you go out in the garden, a lot of people think, oh God, I've got to get changed, I'm going to get mucky. Get yourself an overall. Whatever you're wearing, put the overall on, get a thick pair of socks, and invest in a pair of good wellies. I've got these ones here that I've had for years, and they slip on and off really easily. So, you know, it's not going to deter you. Just think of all the things that are going to make your life easy to actually put the effort in. Not convenient, just time efficient. So these are great tips I'm giving you. So yeah, have a go at just getting yourself some overalls, because then it doesn't matter what you're doing in the garden, the overalls can come off and you can put them in your garden shed or outside or somewhere on the side, because invariably they'll be muddy or dusty or whatever. That's what I'm doing today. I'm going to get this garlic in, and for those of you who are new gardeners, go to your garden centre and you'll see garlic everywhere. Get a good quality garlic. I've got Rhapsody White here. If you want to start with onions, garlic and onions are the two most powerful vegetables in terms of their medicinal qualities. I've talked about them before. Onions I always plant from seed, but I bought these. I was in the garden centre looking for garlic, and I saw these little onion sets, they're called, and they just, it just means that they're going to grow faster. They don't always work, but they're going to grow faster, and also I'll get an early crop. So I am going to put these in, but probably on Sunday or Monday. But let me just get these in. The other thing I would say to you in terms of how to think on gardening is do things in stages. Don't think, right, I'm going to do everything on one day, because it's hard work. You know, your back might ache and you get tired. So here we are. It's going to be maximum an hour. The weather's okay at the moment. I've got other things to do, a lot of other things, not least to study. And I'm just going to go out, focus, sit down. I've got a little bench thing, or you can get your knee mats, or you can squat. I can't do that because my knees are damaged from my childhood. But whatever you can, go out and just do an hour. If you do like an hour a day or half an hour a day, you'll be surprised at how things get done. The key is consistency. And of course, the other benefit is that you're outside in the garden, you're getting fresh air, you're on your own. Don't put anything in your ears, don't listen to anything. Just really be conscious, because those seeds or whatever it is you're planting, they're aligning with your energy. Talk to them, tell them what you're doing. Say, I want you to do really well, and I'm putting some really good energy into this. I'm trying to give you the best nourishment and soil I can that you enjoy. And if there's anything I need to do, then tell me. And of course, what you're doing is not talking to the clove of garlic, but you're actually communing with nature. There's an energy in nature, and there is a frequency in nature that hears you. It's the mind behind the universe again. Yes, I'm calling it God, the divine, whatever. And it's heard if you speak with love and consciously. When I say with love, I don't mean, oh, no. Love means you're speaking with an open heart, with integrity. You're not lying to yourself. You're doing it with integrity and real care. It's a big difference to understand what the word love means. You're doing it with kindness. Again, not being kind. Oh, be kind. No, there's a difference between being nice and being kind. Being kind means doing the right thing for the right reason from the right frequency. And that may not always look like a kind act, but it is, because you're doing it from the right frequency inside you. Okay? So go ahead. If you haven't got your garlic bulbs, go out and get them. And do some research and get them out. You just need to do it. You can even put it in a big pot. Do it. And it may fail. Who cares? Because it's not failed. It's you trying. I have tried these garlic, trying to get garlic to grow for 3 or 4 years now, and it hasn't worked. Failure. But the word failure to me it's not negative. Used to be. The word failure to me is, well, this didn't work. Do it again. Do it again. What can I do that's different? Obviously, you don't do the same thing. People who make the same mistakes again and again, that is a sign of madness. Try something different. Learn something. Just this is how, and then when something works, record it and remind yourself and write down, record, what did I do this time? A lot of it is also on how you're feeling at the time you're going out planting. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. Green fingers is also a frequency of the individual that's growing the fruit and veg, that's cooking the food. It's a frequency. The vibration at which they are harmonizing their life at is felt by everything around them. Okay? So have a lovely Saturday, and I will catch up with you all very soon.